Now, President Dr. Julius Madabio, in a national address on Monday, September 9, 2024, officially announced the commencement of Sierra Leone's 2025 Population and Housing Census. He designated December 1, 2025 as Census Night and the 2nd December 2025 as the official start date, with the exercise scheduled to run until December 15, 2025. Now, this announcement followed the successful laying of Statutory Instrument Number 8 of 2024 before Parliament on August 8. However, in a more recent development, Statistician General Andrew Bobjani, right here on this platform, confirmed that the census will now be held in December 2026. So what informed this shift and what does it mean going forward? Joining us in the studio is Abdul Karim Karamar Esquire, a member of the Secretariat, APC Publicity, and we're also expecting William Sawolamin, the National Coordinator of Accountability Now, who has been closely following the entire census process. And also we're expecting a representative from Statistics Sierra Leone, who we had already sent an invite to. They are yet to honor that. We'll start off the conversations here. Good morning, Abdul, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, my lady. How are we?
Fine, thank you. Already from the intro, you've seen the pronouncement of the census, which was scheduled to, take place on in December 2025, starting off on the 1st and then the 2nd, which would span till the 15th of December. However, prior to having the Statistician General here, the Minister of Information and Civic Education, Minister Chenoba, stated whilst they went to the Civic Fest, I think it was in Cambia, where they engaged citizens as well. What came out clearly was that we might see a postponement of the census, which was scheduled or is scheduled for this year, now happening in December 2026. Coming from the main opposition party, what do you make of this?
I repeat again what I said at Liberty. This is the highest sense of disservice to Sierra Leoneans, more especially from the people we hire. This is where incompetence takes over competence. So I start to reason with President Bio, how exactly he hires these people, whether it is based on competence or whether it is based on party loyalty or whether it's based on how you've served me, and then I'll get you to the office. To be honest, I repeat, this is the service to Sierra Leoneans and the service to the president himself that hired that individual.
Why do you say that?
Good, beautiful. I know that was going to provoke that question. Firstly, by all intents and purposes, we know for you to occupy the office of the Statistician General, you must be qualified by merit, academically, and in the job you're going to do. You will not take a carpenter to make him the Statistician General. You must make somebody who is knowledgeable in that area. These are requirements. So all things being equal, I said that is exactly most of the reason, maybe, that the president hired this person. But however, what is very fundamental is that the president is saying this, and the Statistician General is saying this. But don't forget that what is very clear here is what the president said is what we are going by. However, if there's going to be any shift, let there be reasons why the shifts. Let them provide us reasons tangible enough to convince us that indeed it is but fit for us to have a reschedule. But as it is now, statistics have not given us any tangible reasons. They are just procrastinating. They are just saying, by all what you are saying now, it's like it is likely possible they will not have the decennial census in December this year. Why is the president, by a statutory instrument, just as the prelude you've given, that he made it very clear, he did not just go to national television and make that proclamation. He has to go first to Parliament by a statutory instrument that gives him that audacity to go and make the proclamation national. And he has made this proclamation in September, that come the 1st of December this year, it's going to be census night. And from the 2nd to the 15th, going to be the enumeration period. That in itself means, before the president may have made such proclamation, he must have been informed by the requisite or competent personnel in there. So this is exactly where I'm saying the height of disservice. If these guys know that the backroom preparation is not yet set, why do you have to tell the president to make proclamation? Because the president is not the professional heading that institution. He has placed you there as a professional with all the requisite know-how. So it behoves you to inform the president accordingly before you lure the president to making proclamations that are unfortunate.
Oftentimes, a few times we've actually seen, due to unforeseen circumstances as well, where there has been a postponement of the census. For example, in 2014, where we experienced Ebola. But what do you think, in your capacity, is one of the reasons why we're seeing a shift in the dates for this year's census?
Beautiful. Elizabeth, I admire this conversation. In 2014, we'll have had the decennial census. Conditions clear, and you've made this very clear. I'm not saying it anymore because the evidence are clear. Lawyer says reps ipsa loquitur. Because of the constraints we had with the Ebola epidemic, made us to shift it to 2015. All things being equal, tell me exactly what exactly is the challenge now that we cannot have the census in 2025. There's nothing. So that tells you that the people seated there are just wasting the country's money, taxpayers' money. We're just paying them for a job they are not doing, for a job they are incompetent to perform. If I had the opportunity today, I'll relieve the statistician general from office because he has deceived the president. He has deceived Sierra Leoneans. He has ill-informed the president. However, let us take it to this point. When the UN assessment mission came this year, the 13th to the 15th or 17th of January this year, they realized, let me tell you this, the whole reason statistics is anchoring now that they want to shift the census to 2026 is all anchored on unpreparedness. They are ill-prepared. They are not prepared at all. I don't know whether they convinced the president to make the proclamation either because they wanted to gain political favor or whether it was a political move. But rather, it is now hitting them. It's now a shot in the leg. Because what they did in a hurry is now having a counter effect on them. Because they failed to do the key things first. They failed to put in their house in order. They failed to make the primaries first. Because don't forget, when the mission came, they noticed that in fact funding is a challenge. They noticed capacity is a challenge. They noticed tools, equipment is a challenge. These are fundamental things. And above all, preparation, i.e. having this document we call a census document that provides the roadmap as to how you begin the primaries to the actual enumeration stage was not even in order. There were no timelines. There was nothing like what you call like cartographic mapping to have this particular EAs where this particular work will be done. There was nothing like, in fact, what we call a pilot census where you test the questionnaire to know whether the questionnaire you've designed is without any flaws. Is to know whether the questionnaire you've designed has been simplified to the lowest term so that it will not give challenges to enumerators when they're in the field. That is why, firstly, you have to have what we call the pilot census. To test the questionnaire, see exactly whether it's fit for purpose. This wasn't done. And as a matter of fact, because the foreign, our UN experts or agencies or partners came and realized this ineptitude on the side of Statistics Sierra Leone, they advised that, hey, wait, instead of you going into this census in a hurry, we will advise that you have the census in 2026. In other words, all what you haven't done, you can now do, and in a very orderly form, so that the census will at least produce the required result. What then is the required result? General acceptability, inclusiveness, people owning the process, people making sure that indeed this process is credible, the data is credible, we can rely on this data, as opposed to what you did in the midterm census of 2021, which was totally unacceptable by the opposition party, and internationally it was rejected, that it did not meet international best practices. So based on this advice, it now goes back to Statistician Leone that they advised the president wrongly. And that's why I'm saying they have done disservice to Sierra Leoneans and they have done disservice to the president because they did not advise the president accordingly. Then the president made a proclamation.
How important is the decennial census to Sierra Leone and the citizens as well? You know, oftentimes people try to trivialize it or either, you know, wrap it around politics, which does little or no good for the people of Sierra Leone because this results from the census is actually geared towards, you know, helping policy formulation, planning, resource allocation, and the likes. How important is it to Sierra Leoneans?
Well, again, let me take it from where you landed. It's important, again, anchoring your same words. It is extremely important because it is the tool, it is what we politicians, decision makers, administrators, international partners, donor partners, they are going to rely on to at least see how best they can contribute to development. They can do resource allocation. They can see how best we can share our national largesse based on our population quota so that everybody who is a Sierra Leonean benefits from our national largesse. So it is of extreme importance. But however, let me say census in itself, it's not political. That is why we in the APC are not giving it a political lens. Rather, we're giving it a national lens. That is more so the reason why the leadership in the APC, Alhaji Minkelu Mansare and team, the Secretary General and all, we have decided to give it our all. That, hey, this is not about politics. It is about making sure that we participate effectively so that tomorrow when we come into governance, we'll be able to make sure that we allocate resources on an even basis. So we'll make sure that we will not be challenged as to how resource allocation will be. And thus we say to ourselves, it's not politics. But however, again, it is very difficult for one to divorce census from politics because it is the aftermath, the result of the census that is going to be used by the politicians. So you see the nexus. It's not really political, but at the end of the day, what is being achieved from that process, credibly, is what is going to inform politicians, decision makers, as to how resource allocation for development purposes will be. And that is more so the reason why we're saying, as a party, we are ready to nip it in the bud at this point. That it's not going to be business as usual as they did with the midterm census, which unto this point has no efficacy to Sierra Leone, which unto this point is of no use to Sierra Leoneans. It's completely useless. Because with all the money spent, there is no credibility from the data gathered. There is no international organization that is relying on that data. There is no developmental processes that are used in Sierra Leone that is condition dependent on that data gathered. And thus, why did you have the midterm census? It was a complete waste of national resources. It was completely a fruitless endeavor. It was meaningless. That is more so the reason why the APC never participated. And we owe unto ourselves that we feel proud in it, we feel safe in it because we did not allow our people to meddle into things that are of no importance. But however, in this decennial census, we are going to own it. The reason is this, because it is those results, it is that data that is going to inform us when we come into governance in 2028.
So how sure are you that the decennial census will actually, you know, be held or carried out according to how your political party deems it fit? I ask this because you've just raised a critical point as well, wherein it came to the midterm census in 2021, wherein a lot of people were advised not to participate based on few reasons you've just highlighted. How are you sure that these markings or the things you use to measure at the moment will actually fall in place and get the result that you want?
Okay. Again, let me take you back to where you started. Of what importance will the census be to us in the APC? I repeat again, this decennial census to us is of all importance. Why? because it's going to inform us come 2028 whilst we'll be in governance to make decisions, to distribute resources. That is more so the reason why the APC have chosen to own this process. We'll contribute seriously into the publicity committee.
How do you determine which one of these censuses you will now contribute to?
We're going to contribute to the 2025 census.
Why not the 2021?
No, 2021 is of no use, my lady. It's of no use. The government itself is not even using it. So why will we come to use it again? Well, it's of no use to those who even started it.
What occurred around that time was that your political party discouraged members of the public not to be counted. And when we talk about the broader objective of having a census being conducted in a county, we've just mentioned that result going further to help with whether it's resource allocation, policy formulation, and the likes. What benchmarks have you set that you would use to now measure and say, okay, this feels safe, let the people be counted and be part of the process?
Beautiful. Firstly is that it's unprecedented, it's a novelty in Sierra Leone for us to have census after 5 years, or it's called a midterm census. That in itself was exactly what created the whole shadow around the whole thing, that we noticed that it's a whole ploy. It's a system that was meant to skew people. And that's why we denied it. Internationally and best practices, census all over the world are conducted after any 10 years.
That's the decennial census.
Decennial census.
So we do not have any need for a midterm census. That's what you're saying.
That's what you said before. So we knew that bringing in the midterm census was not anything that was of national interest, but it was just because to satisfy them, because they wanted to score a particular goal they wanted to score at that time. It was not in the interest of Sierra Leone. So we did not participate in it. And until this point, we're still justifying our acts. That until this point, what is of the relevance? What is of relevance from what they did? But however, the other question I wanted to answer before you interjected again is that what census are we going to participate in? Will it be the 2025 as proclaimed by the president, or the 2026 as rumored by Statistics Sierra Leone? First thing, the APC is a serious party. We go by what the president said. That is what we hold on to, and that is what we are taking to the bank. If there's going to be any shift, let the president come and apologize to us. Tell us that, I am sorry, my people, I was ill-advised by Statistics Sierra Leone. I thought everything was intact, everything was in place, and thus the census, as proclaimed, will continue instant. But now, having got advice from our moral guarantors, our international partners, and Statistics Sierra Leone again, I am sorry. Let him come. He's the father of the nation. There's nothing wrong to apologize. If he apologizes to us with these conditions I've said that indeed he was ill-advised by those people he relied on, and that signals square pegs in round holes, you understand? They will understand that indeed the president is being sincere to his people. But again, keeping quiet, we will start to understand that indeed it's a ploy. And we'll tell you, we'll monitor this nook and cranny. We'll monitor this step by step. It's going to be a serious project, and it's not going to be business as usual as they got away with the midterm census. So we are saying, as it is now, the APC is ready, fully ready, to participate in the decennial census as proclaimed by the president. We are not ready to give a thought to what the Statistician General is rumoring, because unto this point, I repeat to you, Elizabeth, there has not been any official correspondence from Statistics Sierra Leone to political parties, i.e. APC, that we are going to shift the census as proclaimed by the president from 2025 to 2026 because of A, B, C, D, E, F. Nothing like that. So we will not go by the rumor.
Is your party, the APC, concerned that maybe a postponement of this nature could also have an electoral delay in the future?
We'll resist that to the drop of our blood. Take it from me and take it to the bank. The elections in this country will be in 2028, and nothing is going to change it except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But nothing of such will happen, and we'll resist it to the drop of our blood. Take it serious. It's not going to be business as usual. I'm saying it out of all seriousness. Whatever plans they're having behind the scenes, we will resist them, and we'll resist them with all our sweat, with all our blood, and we'll do it within the legal frameworks of the law. Take it serious. It's not going to be business as usual. So let them play their gimmicks. We are waiting for them to come to the open stage. We're not prepared. We're not too worried about what they do behind the scenes. It's their own cup of tea. What we are concerned about is what is happening on the stage. We are saying the president has proclaimed census to be 1st of December is census night 2025, and the 2nd to the 15th enumeration. Beautiful. We take it to the bank. If there's going to be any change, let the president come again and tell us. Profile reasons why the change. If they are convincing enough, we'll go by it. If they're not convincing enough, we'll say, no, Mr. President, you don't continue to take us for granted. The people of Sierra Leone will not settle for less anymore. We deserve better. Enough is enough. All this back and forth of you, we're really exhausted. Enough is enough. This is what we go by. Don't take us for granted. We are denying ourselves to settle for less. And this time it's not going to be business as usual again, I repeat. And
what will be the non-negotiables for the APC party, to participate in the upcoming census? That's if it's been held in 2026.
I repeat again, let the guys come. Let them stop playing behind the scenes. Come to the table. Tell us why you're shifting. Tell us what are the reasons. If it's ineptitude on your side, and they're telling us that, yes, we are sorry, we were in a hurry to advise the president as he made this proclamation, but again, basic things were not done behind the scene, and so we are sorry. If that is satisfying to us, and we know it is in the best interest of Sierra Leone, nothing is precluding us again to go by it. But firstly, let us make sure that the president, when he speaks, will give it the credence, the seriousness it deserves. Not for just one person to be seated in his office at TAWA, and when the president has said census is in December 2025, then that individual seated at TAWA will say no, census is in 2026. They'll start to reason. We'll start to question ourselves. Who are we listening to? The president or the statistician general? The answer is obvious. The president. He is the father of the nation. He tells us what to do. He's not the statistician general. We don't even go by what he's saying. For us in the APC, we go by the proclamation by the president. If there's going to be any change, let the president tell us why the change. If the reasons, I repeat, are convincing and they are in the interest of Sierra Leone to making sure that we have a credible census, nothing will stop us to go by it. But as it is now, we are not even countenancing census in 2026. We go by what the president has said, and that is what we are anchoring on, and that's where our support is going to.
In December 2015, when the other decennial, census was held, as at that time under the APC, we had the SLPP as the opposition, the main opposition political party. And same issues actually arose surrounding the inaccuracy of the result or the data that was gotten from, the census back then. Is it a political play for the two main political parties?
Same if the SLPP enjoy it as a political play. No, for the APC, we see it as a national discourse, a national concern, something that we need to participate on a national basis. It's devoid politics. It's an event, it's an activity that informs decision makers as to how resource allocations will look like. So don't take it for politics. We take it as something that is of national interest, something we can give our all to make sure that it really, really provides the required result.
All right, still stay with me. We do now have William Sawolamin, who's the National Coordinator of Accountability Now. He's been following closely the census process as well, and we have him online. Good morning, William Sawolamin.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
I don't know if you've been following the program, but this morning we've been speaking about the decennial census, which, the president had proclaimed to be hosted or conducted in December 2025 this year. However, earlier on as well, we had hosted the Statistician General, who had told us that the census will now be conducted in December 2026. What do you make of this announcement?
Well, this is a very important event in the country. You don't talk about any development if you don't have census. You need country and the chiefdom of that, so you can be able to have a proper planning for that particular country. So census, I think, is very, very important for any development in any country. So if this as for December for the next census, I think it's a welcome news, And we need to have everybody on board, all political parties, each and every one of us, whether civil society or media, we all need to put hands on deck, because we saw in the last census, there were a lot of issues, people refusing, some politicians telling their constituents not to register and all of that. So as a civil society who has been working with Statistics Sierra Leone over the years, I think it's better we start communicating with people earlier for them to understand the importance of census.
Saul, I mean, do you also, now that we're seeing a shift between the dates, what does this delay mean to you?
Well, the shift, it can be caused by so many challenges. Maybe even finance can be one of them, because whenever somebody shifts a date for any activity, one of the key issues can be finance. I'm not saying maybe finance is the key for this particular issue about shifting the date, but most times, in most cases, finances are issues that are but at the end of the day, you have a proper planning. Instead of saying, no, I'm going to do it at a date that I, you know,
do we know at the moment while we're having a shift
or tangible information at the end of the day? And mind you, this is not just a Sierra Leonean business. When you talk about statistics, it involves some of our development partners and all of that. It has to do with elections. It has to do with so many other developmental issues. So if statistics think the date that was set up before this time is not suitable for them, and we want to have a tangible report at the end of the day, I think nothing is wrong for them to shift the date to December.
Do you have any idea why we're having a shift in date?
Well, I can't tell now. I can't tell. As I said, maybe finances can be one of the challenges, because sometimes, as I said earlier, most of these projects are not only funded by government partners who contribute into the basket, and they will tell you tomorrow I'll give you X, Y, and Z, and at the end of the day they will tell you no, we are going to wait till some other dates. It happens with World Bank, you know, few years ago, just at the injury stage. I think a week to the census, the World Bank told statistics that we are going to even break our technical support and financial support. Some of us came out very strongly to organize a demonstration right at the entrance of the World Bank office, telling them that no, they have to go on with the program, because this is the injury time, just a week or two to the census. You can't call off, say no, we are not going to support at this particular moment. So we told them, you have to give this money. This is not just about Sierra Leone. This is not just about statistics Sierra Leone. It has to do with each and every Sierra Leonean. So you have to sponsor this program. And definitely they adhere to our call. You know, so maybe finances can be one of the reasons. But I think as a country, Statistics Sierra Leone has the responsibility to communicate to all political parties and other development partners the reason why they decided to postpone, you know. But for me, it's better you postpone and have a better planning than you say, no, I'm going to do it the date that has been fixed already.
You know, political parties over time have actually described the data gotten from, you know, census as inaccurate. What do you think are some of the benchmarks you would advise as a civil society activist?
This is always
political
the
parties
case.
to
When the
actually
SLPP
examine.
is in power, the APC, to be specific, will tell you we are not comfortable with this census. When the APC also is in power, the SLPP will say no, we are not comfortable. This is always the case. But I think one of the key things is that you have to involve people from the start of the planning, in all civil society. Some of us have been working with Statistics Sierra Leone, but until this time, nobody has called us to start the planning, the preparation. This is April, you know, and then we are talking about December. It's less than 1 year. You have to bring everybody on board now. now that before, getting close to the date, and then you call people, you start rushing with everything. They have to involve partners, all political parties, the interreligious people, the civil society, the media. Everybody has to come on board now. We have to plan together and then implement together. So at the end of the day, people will not raise red flag that something fishy has been taking place. So that is my advice as civil society, for them to call on all stakeholders, all those who have business to do with statistics. You bring them on board now during the planning, and then at the end of the day, everybody will be satisfied. But if you call people at the injury time, they will tell you you've played some game and all the rest of it. And at the end of the day, when the report is out, people will definitely contest the result.
With these repeated delays as well, how do you bring the public along to ensure that, because we've just mentioned how important census is to Sierra Leone and its citizens. With these delays, how do you bring the public along?
What we are doing now as civil society, we have a consortium of CSOs, not just Accountability Now Sierra Leone. We are planning ourselves to start engaging people, not just in the capital city. Freetown is not Sierra Leone. Even those in the villages, they have a role to play, because they also have to be counted. They should be prepared. The local authorities, the paramount chiefs, they should be educated. We don't want to see a political party representative this time around talking to community people, talking to family members. Don't go out there. Don't allow those who are coming to count you, to be able to succeed in counting you. We don't want to see that kind of ugly situation this time around. So as civil society, we are going to mount a very strong, sensitization. Our area has to do with advocacy, monitoring, and sensitization. So we have to do advocacy for the Statistics Sierra Leone to have more money to do their job. We have to do sensitization, and then we have to monitor the entire process. So at the end of the day, wherever there is a break, we will come out and say, no, this particular institution or political party has a problem. So we are going to be at the middle as civil society and the media. The media is also very key in this. So that is why I want to call on Statistics Sierra Leone now to ensure that they bring everybody on board. It is everybody's business. It's not just about statistics. Those who are concerned must be on board now, not tomorrow.
All right, thank you, William Saulamin. Still stay with us during the program. I'm coming back to my studio guest.
Thank you. Thank you.
AKK. You've listened to a lot of the points that William Saulamin has mentioned when it comes to census. What do you make of it?
I think myself and Sal are almost on the same wavelength. This signals that indeed we have a whole chunk of square pegs in the round hole at statistics. Listen to what he said in his closing. He says, until this point, there have not been any engagement from statistics to civil society, religious organizations, political parties. To the best of his knowledge, no engagement to civil society. That is where his gap is. And you have advised the president to do a public proclamation for census to be on the 1st of December 2025. That tells you these people do not even know what they wanted to do. That signals they are unprepared, they are ill-prepared, they are unprepared. They don't even know what exactly a census is. All they know is to skew figures. All they know is to go to Kenya, to go and borrow tablets and come input information into them, and then they produce it and say this is the information. All they know is to have tools that are very, very, very much challenged, dilapidated. It's not even technologically appropriate to give enumerators to take to the field. After one village, the next village, the battery is done, it cannot work. They input figures and they come to a filter and say this is the figures. So they don't even know the seriousness of the activity they are going to undertake. So that exactly is telling you, in as much as I'm seated here, here's another civil society organization anchoring the same. That up to this point, if you're saying you're going to have the census in December, and to this point, you've not started engaging the media, no publicity, still people are, he's saying, he's not speaking for Statistics Sierra Leone, but he's very much certain that one amongst few things that is constraining them at the moment will be funding. Let me tell you something. The whole funding for this whole project was estimated for 37 billion leones. Let me give you the joke. $37 million was budgeted for this whole activity. See what happened. The government of Sierra Leone pledged to support in the process $6.5 million. As of date, as I'm seated here today, only $400,000 has been remitted to Statistics Sierra Leone. That will tell you now that in fact funding is a challenge. So that takes us back to class 1 or to the primaries. Before you will have told the president to make a proclamation, first try to see how best you are going to source fund. Try to know whether this fund you're going to rely on, you've got almost 80 to 85% of the fund before you go to the public and say we are going to have census. The second point is, try first to see whether the staff you're having have the requisite capacity. Because when the development partners came, they realized statistics is incapacitated, i.e. they don't have the requisite staff capacity. And so what they did was to automatically ASAP hire a chief technical advisor. They are paying it. UNFPA is paying the chief technical advisor. So in other words, even cartographers they don't have. People who are knowledgeable in the act in that particular field, statistics doesn't have them. What they did was, because of politics, a good number of professionals who are Sierra Leoneans were fired. Either because they think they were belonging to one party, or they are coming from one region, or they are of one tribe. A whole lot of them, hundreds of them were sacked. Unreasonably, unfairly. In fact, in law it is called unfair dismissal. But onto this point, ACC haven't done anything about it. Unlawful dismissal. Labor, the Ministry of Labor, nothing. And Social Security, nothing is said about it. But now you see what is happening? Because of that, the institution is crumbling. Lack of competent personnel to do the work. Another key thing is the area of publicity. How many times have we been invited, myself and member of Statistics Sierra Leone, that they have been evading interviews? They are not ready to confront the people to talk to them. Because the question we ask them is this: before the president made the proclamation, did you advise the president? That's the key question we ask. If yes, then what was exactly the conditions dependent that were all intact that you told the president to make the proclamation? If that is so, why the change? Okay.
Thank you very much. Abdul Karim Kamara, Esquire, member of the APC Publicity Secretariat, and also to William Saulamin, who has lent his voice, earlier on to make contributions with regards the census, the decennial census Sierra Leone is going to carry out. Well, it's a conversation that will keep evolving, and we'll keep getting the partners and everybody who is involved to come to the studio and, of course, make their points known.